Hello and welcome to Chat OK Podcast, where we break down and review a movie and, give our personal opinions on said movie. I'm your host, Drinking Thomas Hughes. And if you couldn't guess from my co-host screaming then, today we're discussing Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, but more specifically, Ultimate Edition.
That ruined my throat. Let me out.
It was released on Blu-ray in 2016. It serves the first time in live action that the two most beloved DC icons have battled it out, as well as being, the half-hour long version of the theatrical release, which came out the exact same year, March specific.
The theatrical release was a B-Tech version of Avengers Captain America Civil War. So,
It did come out like a month before.
saying. Yeah, it's still B-Tech.
It was literally a couple of weeks before that one came out.
Still B-Tech.
Which is why I find it weird they put a Doctor Strange trailer before that one. Because it's Marvel DC. To be fair though, it was the first day of showing at the Light Cinema. They fucked up a lot of things that day. Like the fact they put an 18 trailer at the start of the movie, and the movie's only 12A.
I mean, we've all done that.
Yep. Anyway, the movie was once again directed by Zack Snyder, who we spoke about last week when we obviously covered Man of Steel. Two more movies he directed are the movie Sucker Punch. That weird movie he did back in 2011.
Weird doesn't cover it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And The Legend of the Guardians, The Owl of Ga'Hoole, which he did the year prior. That animated one. The owls. Okay, let's get straight into this then. So, some early thoughts, Hayden.
There's some bits that I really loved. And the rest that I just forgot about because there are some parts of the film which are very, very forgettable. There's some parts which are very bad choices. Facebook guy. And there are some bits that are really fucking good. So it's a mixed bag. Like you get a bag, and you shove James and Craig in it, but you also shove Alexa Bliss into it. It's like got some really good stuff, like amazing Alexa Bliss, but you've also got them too, and it sort of like it drags the bag down because they weigh quite a lot.
Okay, that's a respectable opinion there. I feel like when this first came out, I enjoyed it to an extent. As I say, I watched this the first showing when the light opened back then, because that was the first. Literally, it was the first movie they showed at the Light Cinema. Was that on its opening day, on its opening time, and when it was like £5 a ticket, those kind of days. And I'm gonna say the good old days them were. But yeah, I enjoyed it to an extent. Obviously, as we said, the Facebook Zombieland geezer, that it kind of ruins it a lot. I think as I went on, obviously, the base edition is a bit naff at times because there is a lot of plot holes in it. But watching the Ultimate Edition, it does fill some of those. Not every plot hole, obviously, but it fills some of them, to an extent. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just because the fact that I've grown attached to a lot of Snyder movies, apart from Sucker Punch. I've grown attached to his way of filmmaking and whatnot, and I don't know. I kind of enjoy it a bit more than I probably should. It's kind of one of those. What's that word I'm after? Basically, one of those movies that obviously in a lot of people's eyes quite bad, but to you it's actually enjoyable enough to sit through, and to an extent.
Like a guilty pleasure.
That's the word I'm after, guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
It's kind of a guilty pleasure watch for me. Or guilty watch. I think that's the word I'm actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those for me. I kind of do actually enjoy this movie. Obviously, there is a few things that obviously hands down would like to change. And there's a few things that definitely should go out of it. off the choice of Lex Luthor. It's just as bad as fucking Wolverine CGI claws. Ugh.
Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot to it I do enjoy. I like the whole symbolic sort of angels and demons side to it. That constant symbolicness. I do enjoy that. Like the music choice, you can tell within that. It's very angel and demon-esque. There's some of the sort of you get my drift. But yeah, it's a guilty pleasure for me, I think. We'll move on since the obviously opening sequence. So The opening sequence for this movie was obviously this universe's version of the Wayne murder as well as the funeral. So it basically rolls it into one. And it sort of cuts it together. And I actually really enjoyed it because I love the music choice over the top of it.
Yeah,
I think it's very cinematic-y, artsy. And I do very much find it funny, the actress and actor they chose for Martha and Thomas Wayne. The fact I said in The Walking Dead they're like bitter enemies. And then they're like, oh, come on, love, let's take our son home after watching Zorro. Or Excalibur, I think it was in this universe.
nothing bad could happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, they should have been watching Macbeth. It would be fucking like ironic.
It would be very ironic watching Macbeth walk out. Oh shit, we're gonna die. But yeah, I do find it very, as a cinematic point of view, it looks very nice to look at. Very, I want to say a bit different to how we usually get to see these sort of things. Obviously, all the other times we've seen these murders, obviously, Batman Begins was the Christian Bale ones we saw it in. I'm pretty certain we saw it in near enough all fucking three of the 90s ones. And I'm pretty certain they just did the exact same scene 3 times.
Joker as well.
We saw it in Joker. We saw it in Gotham, the first episode.
Yeah.
Other than Joker, though, all those ones pretty much showed it in a normal context of just showing the scene, showing the murder and everything. Whereas, obviously, as we saw in Joker, it was more of like part of the montage, wasn't it, of the craziness?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, this did it in the exact same sort of way. It did it in a montage, sort of.
Kind of like scene.
Yeah, and obviously, it sort of showcases the first time Bruce obviously sees bats, in a sense, for the fact that he falls down that well, doesn't he?
He goes into that little cave and gets bitten by a bat, and he gets radioactive powers from it, and becomes Batman.
But yeah, I like. Sure, why not? I do like the bit as well when obviously he does fall in the cave and he starts raising him up. The bats do, and that's when it sort of symbolises the sort of angel and demon side of it, because it goes all the way to a bright light. Because obviously then that fades into the actual, present day intro, which is technically a past day intro for the fact that it's the exact same scene from the end of the first one, but from another perspective, which we'll get to actually when we talk about the action scenes, because it's very action centered and very like full throttle in a sense. But for an opening sequence, I think they could have done worse.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, let's be honest. Like, we've seen like his parents die more times than we've seen Uncle Ben, and that's a fucking a lot. So it's
Okay, in the animated versions.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. It wasn't really needed, but Lisa did it in a way it wasn't as samey.
Yeah, like him just sitting there going, "Dead parents, flashback time."
Yeah, pretty much. Like it was more of like put into the opening sequence, like a bit like Deadpool 2 when there's the whole singing dance bit at the start. It's more of like there as a nice show way of putting the credits and stuff instead of actually being like, right, this is my big point, like moment I turned and all this serious bit. More like you know what's happening. There's only for context. You know what's happening. There's no point of putting more focus to it.
Yeah, because if
it's one thing everyone knows about Batman.
Their parents.
Their parents. Literally.
Yeah, because if you think about it, obviously they said the Deadpool intro, that was obviously showcasing what he's been up to since the first movie. Whereas this obviously is just going, okay, so the first movie we had of this, it fully focused on Superman, saw him and whatnot. Okay, so yeah, there's actually Batman in this universe. What didn't you know Batman was in this universe? Okay, we didn't mention it in the first film, but yeah, there's Batman in this universe. This is his origin slightly here, and then we're actually going to jump into the present day when he's big butch bat. I do like that as well, for the fact that these first 2 movies, they opened with essentially how this character was born in a way. So obviously the actual Superman one, he actually did show him physically born, whereas this one is metaphorically being born as the Dark Knight. So it's a nice way of sort of throwback to that sort of idea of the first movie, which it probably isn't, but if you think of it that way, it is a nice throwback.
It's like, obviously the whole point is what is film is you're basically comparing Batman and Superman. There's differences and what makes them the same. And obviously the whole point is both of them basically were born physically and metaphorically with their parents dying. Obviously, Superman's born physically and then sent off while their planet dies and his father dies. And obviously, Bruce is metaphorically born into Batman when he physically sees his parents dying. There's another the big difference with them though is obviously Superman never saw his parents die because he was a baby and could probably not even remember them.
No, well, he blasted off, wasn't he? He was
Yeah,
gone.
and
He
he
was gone
stepped up
by.
as
He was gone
well.
by that point.
Like even if he did physically see him, he wouldn't remember.
Exactly.
Whereas Bruce obviously did see him and was more traumatized. And by the time like Superman watches like human father die, he was sort of old enough now to like deal with it. It wouldn't be as traumatic. So that's like the big like the initial difference. You know, have the same kind of situation happen, how it was dealt with, and the ages all affect how it's like impactful it is. So, yeah, there you go.
Nice little speech there. That was very
There you go.
intriguing. Obviously, before we actually move on to the cast and characters, it wouldn't be right to talk about this sort of BVS style fight, whatnot, without referring to essentially what inspired it, which is obviously the Dark Knight Returns storyline, which I watched the animated movie earlier on, and it split into like two parts. The first part actually, it kind of does like what the first era of this movie does, which is focus on, well, obviously ignore the Superman side of it, but focus on obviously Batman being Batman. Whereas the second era actually focuses eventually on Batman versus Superman.
But so we get to see both sides, which again another thing that probably wasn't as fully necessary. Like there were some bits of the Superman which were unneeded or kind of boring. So maybe if we saw it purely from Batman's perspective, it probably would have been a bit more interesting. But the whole point is like it's still a Superman movie as well, though. It's not
Yeah.
just Batman; it's both of them. They've got to have both sides at least. So
Yeah.
if that was done better, it probably would be more better. But you know, it's like it depends how you want to spin it. Like it could have been cool if it was more of a Batman film
With
instead
just
of it being
Superman there.
more of both. Like we done Superman, maybe a Batman film, and then this probably would have been a better choice. But obviously, like one of the main things is like, let's be honest, they were trying to catch up to Avengers because like,
But
what was it?
they were how many years behind?
Yeah, because they were quite rushed into it. It was like straight away for the team after one film. It's like a little bit rushed, but they had no choice really. Like they could have slowly built it up, but by the time they've got round to it, Endgame happened, and they're like, "Why the fuck we're going to compete with that?" So it's like,
Well, technically, Endgame came out 2 years after the failed team up.
yeah, but you know, I mean, like by the time they got like, they slowly built it up first, and then got around to it. They've already been beaten by Endgame. So probably they didn't have the choice to slowly do it. They had to rush into it. So that's why it probably wouldn't. It probably isn't as polished as it should have been.
Fair, from what I've been reading in terms of obviously what Snyder's planning, he already had like this entire sort of plan of how he was going for.
Yeah.
It was literally essentially 5 movie arc, starting with Man of Steel and ending with Justice League Part 3. And from what I've been reading earlier on, apparently all this, because a lot have been revealed from this like storyboarding and from the later parts of this like 5 movie arc, and apparently everything they've basically it's been leaked and whatnot. Ignore it, because apparently it's just over the time it's been leaked and it's just developed it differently and changed a lot of stuff. So basically, it's not as if they're spoilers anymore. It's actually just old shit that probably still going to be there, but a lot of it is going to be changed. So he's literally just it's the hope of if this what's coming out later this month is successful, that they give a go ahead to finish actually off this story, because apparently it ends in a cliffhanger from what I've read. The movie that comes out this month, so you know. Don't want
I
those
mean,
cliffhangers.
it's probably a bit like Marvel. Don't get mentioned in Marvel, but obviously the whole point with Avengers, like Josh Whedon, like never actually redacting Whedon,
Thank you.
never actually made like had an idea any plans for the MCU. Like he literally just like, okay, I'll just put this in, do this, and then they were like make sure you add that scene in and that scene in. It's like our party is like he didn't really have any plans or anything. Cause it's more everyone else was just pushing him into what they want. So even though it worked, but you can see some things which didn't quite like connect. Look, obviously, some of the end credit scenes were completely different to like don't really make sense of the whole overall plot unless you wiggle around like that scene when we saw Fran saying fine I'll do it myself was done just after he like went to Nidalee. If you put that in your own head canon instead of like when it was made to look like it was straight away after Ultron, him planning it. There were some plans that obviously were made which never really ended up that way and was changed. So you can see how over the time things do definitely do shift and become more to what they think would be a better story for the audience and what would fit the whole plot overall than to their initial idea.
Well, if you think about it, though, that obviously that franchise, that's obviously headed
Yeah.
by someone who's really above all of them, and basically it's just full of different directors giving their visions as long as it fits into his vision.
Yeah.
Whereas this universe, it's a lot of it early on was practically just Snyder. He was the one who building this universe up. Though they obviously brought in other directors eventually, like the fact they brought in David Ayer for Suicide Squad, Patty Jenkins for the Wonder Woman movies, James Wan for the Aquaman. I can't remember the guy who did Shazam, but that guy. Tom's trying to think now. His mind's going blank here of other directors. The one who did Birds of Prey. You get my gist I'm going with here.
Yeah, I get it, man.
Obviously, eventually they sort of dwindle that into these different directors giving them their visions, but originally, obviously, it's Snyder behind everything.
Yeah.
And obviously there is people above him. They're still not stopping him a lot of times from getting his vision out. Though eventually they did when they fucked him off and everything. But eventually they brought him back in because they're like, okay, failed, get in.
Yeah. I think when his vision didn't match to what they wanted, they were like, get rid of him. I do think like the executives behind like Warner Brothers and stuff were there like we got to copy Marvel because they're making so much money. Other people are gonna want to cash into that. Like you, for example.
Look, you told me to write that franchise. You're telling me to do it.
I'm joking. But yeah, see, I want money. And they have money. Let's do what they do.
Yeah, but
That's
I want to go darker at times.
That's what I mean. You like Snyder.
That's what I think. No, with DC, they should just stick to the darkness because DC is very dark at times. And no, obviously, that's why I think one of the main reasons, obviously there's many reasons why the Justice League failed, or Justice League as people keep calling it. They took this basically dark tone that was in these like early how many movies and basically just went, oh no, let's actually just make a straight up Avengers movie here. Literally just take a lot of stuff from Avengers, like the scene from this Age of Ultron where Black Widow and Hulk fall off the table and on top of each other. They literally did the exact same scene in fucking Justice League with Wonder Woman and Flash. They basically just took a lot of stuff people knew and loved from those movies and went, okay, let's just put it in this. No one will notice. Everyone noticed. Box office disaster. But that's what I mean. They changed the tone drastically. You can't do like how many movies was before Justice League? It was these two. We've done so far: Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman, wasn't it? So it's 4 movies that are dark. Even though obviously Suicide Squad got a lot of cuts from it, it still had that dark overtone. It still looked like it could have easily been directed by Zack Snyder, just with obviously a more funner undertone.
Zack Snyder with more neon glowing. And
but then obviously, as I say, they changed everything from those darkness into this really light movie. And though obviously we've seen with the facts of Shazam and Aquaman, they've stuck with that sort of lightness. And even Birds of Prey, they've stuck with a bit like that lightness. But there's still been enough darkness within them to make it still fit within this chronological sort of timeline, if you get my drift.
Yeah. it would be like if Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, those films were like really, really fucking dark.
Well, if you think about it, the first Thor was quite dark at times.
They were dark, but like there was obviously a lot. There was
And
a bit
again,
more of upbeat themes to it as
then
well.
again, the first movies of each of them were quite dark at times. And
I
even
think all of them.
yeah, the Paramount side of it, apart from the
Yeah.
Avengers, were quite dark. But then obviously they sort
Well,
of drifted away. But then again, you still get the occasional dark one, like
I think there was,
Winter Soldier, for example. That's
I
an
think
example.
all Marvel films have the elements of darkness to them.
But
There's just
they
some that
choose
have more than others.
they choose more obviously
Like
fun at times.
yeah, like Ant-Man's obviously one of the more comedy fully ones.
So it's
Thor
Guardians.
Ragnarok, one of the fucking funny ones. Yeah, all these ones are a lot more upbeat, but there are still dark undertones to them. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, fucking hell, like you see it at the first like start of it, you see his mum dying of cancer straight away, and then it goes to like all these comical sides, but there's still some proper dark moments to them. But the whole which makes Marvel their comedy work is they don't take themselves too seriously. They know when to like not be too serious and when to stop. Whereas I think because the DC was like a lot into more dark and serious, and then they would like if they add like some sort of moments of comedy to it, but still keep that theme, it would have worked. Because they were like, well, Marvel funny, let's do that, and sort of the tone shift too much that it became unsettling in a way. Like, the fuck is going
Yeah,
on?
there should have been like a small. If they're going to
Yeah,
go light, they should have been more subtle about it. But
yeah,
I still think they should have stuck the dark tone. They started with dark. What's the point? They may as
yeah.
well just carry on this dark overtone. Whereas, as you
Like,
say, Marvel's got this more fun
yeah,
overtone and lighter overtone. But as you say, it's got this subtle dark overtone.
yeah,
This little tiny bit here. Whereas obviously DC is more dark. Okay, there was a little bit of subtle
yeah,
lightness in there, like as you say with Suicide Squad, but it was more dark. But then they've sort of drifted that the other way around now,
yeah,
which as you say is just straight up copying what Marvel have done for the past fucking decade. But I still think they should have stuck the dark because when it's dark, I like it when it's dark, which is why
yeah,
I'm very interested if obviously the new Justice League is successful, if they give Aya cut basically of Suicide Squad the chance, because I do want to see the dark version that we got from the first trailer, because
yeah.
that would be interesting to see. From what I've been reading, was cut from that movie.
Mm. 'Cause
Um,
obviously, like how I think they should have done it is like they should all the characters that were dark keep that dark theme, that dark tone, and only just have Flash be the comical character.
or Aquaman, because that's clearly worked for that as well.
Right, yeah, but have them two be kind of like the comical ones, like the like Hawkeye and like characters, and like you know what I mean, the Tony
Basically have
character
all
instead of being
the basically the ones that can either be used in light and dark,
yeah,
but they're more humorous at times, or ones you don't take seriously at all, like I say Aquaman back in the day.
yeah,
Have them as the light tone of
yeah,
the movies, and their movies in general be a bit lighter. But like for stuff like Batman, and obviously they start with Superman, just keep them as the dark ones. Even Wonder Woman,
yeah.
keep that as dark.
Keep them like
Yeah,
that.
I get what you're saying.
That way, it'd be more in character. And if you wanted to slowly have them become more
Light.
less serious and more lighter, then you can do that because that could be character development. But if they go straight away into like he's mourning over the loss of Superman, let's make him crack jokes.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
And we've drastically gone off topic from the original
we have,
talk.
yeah.
I brought up Dark Knight Returns, and then we just went off completely into this Marvel versus DC discussion.
It's
But
more of like how
yeah,
there are big problems of like the next film of what the original cut at least. It is obviously the tone,
yeah,
and there's none of that here because the tone is quite still dark,
dark. Yeah,
really.
it's very broody like Batman.
Hmm.
So
Which works for DC.
yeah, talked way too long about stuff there. So we'll move on to obviously the cast and characters. So I'll start off with obviously the Superman side of it, the returning cast. There's a lot of returning characters from the first one, but I'm gonna
Yes, there is.
just basically
Like
name the
four.
main.
Well, no, there's Martian.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter's back,
Yeah,
and his assistant, she's back. Obviously,
yeah,
fucking
Perry.
Perry's back.
Yeah.
there's basically a load of characters that are back and a load of new characters, so I'll get through it. So first off, we have Clark Kent, Kal-El Superman back again. Once again, Henry Cavill, who was in the Mission Impossible movie Fallout, which is a really good movie. I recommend watching that one. It's one of the best Mission Impossible. Well, sorry, is the best Mission Impossible. But yeah, obviously at times, obviously Henry Cavill again does a good job, like he did in Man of Steel. But compared to Man of Steel, I don't think he's on par as he was in that film.
Yeah, it's like what I think he did good enough for what he had,
Yeah,
but I think if the writing was a little bit better and it was done a bit better, he would have seemed a lot more like Superman. It's not. I don't think it's his acting. I think it's
it's had the
what
right
he did.
character this time.
Yeah,
So they drastically changed how he was from Man of Steel. Because if you look at Man of Steel at the end of it, he's like, "Oh, don't find me." It obviously blows up that fucking the satellite drone thing. He's
yeah.
like, "Oh, don't find me." He's sort of like this, essentially, sort of godly figure that everyone loves. And then this one's straight away like, "Oh yeah, there's people that love him, but there's a lot of people that really fucking hate him there." So yeah, these people. Superman, do you want to go to court? Here you go. Here's a courtroom.
Yes.
it's like they went, oh, we've got Ben Affleck. He was in Daredevil. Let's do a court scene with Superman.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's get the one who. Let's get the character who like played a lawyer and not have him used in any law stuff at all. Amazing.
But yeah, so he's kind of like a mixed bag in this film compared to the first one. Because obviously we both praised him massively for the first one. He was really good at bringing Superman to life on the big screen for it was like 7 years after the last time we saw someone, which obviously was Brandon Routh from Legend of Tomorrow. But this version is kind of a bit of a letdown to where he was in that. I'm hoping the Justice League one, when he's in that, he does a lot better than what we got in the original version of that as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Then again, there's no mustache. But then again, the irony of me choosing Mission Impossible 4 Letters, his movie this time, is the fact that's the reason he had the mustache in the first place. Because he had a mustache for that movie. And they went, yeah, you're under contract, your mustache is under contract, you can't shave it off. Literally, his mustache was under contract, he could not shave.
And they had no way of like hiding it instead of using shit CGI.
Well, I watched someone like redo that CGI like, on a cheaper budget, and they did it so much better. There's literally a video somewhere, I can't remember where I saw it on YouTube, but it's somewhere that someone literally does the exact same digital effects, but does it so much better you can't tell it's there, compared to "Do you bleed?"
Oh, bad.
Ugh. But yeah, Mission Impossible was the reason he had the mustache. Imagine having a mustache and have it under contract, you can't shave. It's got a life of its own though. It's like fucking it's like Peter when he grows that chip on his shoulder. It's got a life of its own. Anyway, move on to our next obviously returning character, which is obviously Lois Lane, once again played by Amy Adams, who was in the movie Enchanted. And again, similar to Henry Cavill's Clark Kent Superman in this, she's a bit of a letdown compared to the first one. I feel like one of the things with both of them is the fact that, as you say, a lot of times when it's their characters' arcs, it's not as good as when you see Batman come to life on the big screen again. And I feel like he overshadows a lot of what they do, which is obviously what makes him a bit more. Man, there was a it's
They both get.
But as I said, I praised her in the first film again because I thought she was really good in the first film. But then again, I feel like she had more screen time in the first film because she was more thoroughly into the plot. Whereas this one, she isn't at the same time. Though she does a lot of obviously stuff to like, say, oh yeah, this bullet, yada yada. We know what this is. I've got basically bad guy here. Yep, Lex Luthor, yada yada. Let's do this.
She basically is there to pretty much say, like, to fix it a little, like, hold the plot, but like, the reason why, like, they were all being like arrested and stuff is because it was Luthor who caused the initial shootout at the start. Yes, see, plot.
I don't know. I just feel like she's a bit of a letdown compared to the first one.
Yeah, it's more of like she was just used as a way of
plot filler.
Yeah, she's there for information and there to like get Superman to places, and that's pretty much it.
Whereas in the first one, obviously, she was hunting Superman, wasn't she? Trying to track him down. She's actually doing
Yeah,
proper journalism,
yeah.
whereas this she's more just doing like sort of CIA type work.
Like the reason why at the start she's there is because she's doing all the reporter stuff, but everyone else is using her. She's
Yeah,
pretty much just become the damsel in distress, which
it's
is
a
a bit,
shame.
it's a bit lame.
Yeah,
Oh well.
yeah, it happened. um, okay, so next up we have Martha Kent again, played by Dan Lane, who's in the movie Unfaithful, and again she didn't have much screen time in the first one, but again I felt like she had a bit more screen time in that, and of course in this
Yeah,
version she's there for the pivotal moments, if you know what I mean.
yeah. She's basically there to,
Stop the fight
yeah,
and be a
like
damsel in distress at the
annoying.
same time.
Yes, but also there is a moment of like trying to encourage, like the main, like you don't know own them anything, and that's literally about it. Get from her.
Yeah, she's not really as useful in this movie as she was in the first.
Yeah,
Again, I, we've said this for the last two. Not as good as the first one. Then basically, anyone to do the Superman family isn't as good as the first one.
yeah, that's agreed. And of course, we get Zod as well back. I think his performance in this was a lot more better than the other one. You seemed a lot more like active and a lot more less like Deadwood in this film than the previous one.
So who are you talking about again? I got sidetracked in my mind.
Zod.
Oh, you mean he's dead corpse?
I think his performance in this film was a lot better than the previous. Yeah, like honestly, I felt the character. It felt like he was there. Then the other film, it just felt more like I'm a generic villain. But this one is beautiful.
For fuck's sake. We'll move on to the next batch of characters, which is the Batman side of it. To kick it off, obviously, we'll kick it off with Bruce Wayne, Batman,
Yeah,
played this time by Ben Affleck, taking the role from Christian
yeah.
Bale. And he was, well, we couldn't mention him without mentioning the film Daredevil he was in. The fact we've already mentioned it once, subtly. And the fact that Hayden spent most of the movie watching it going, oh, he's blind.
He's blind though. We can't see him.
But yeah, we can. I think we're both going to agree that Ben Affleck was probably before he was announced. We would both would have probably said like, I don't know. It's better. He
Really?
played
I can't see it.
exactly. Okay, she can make a pun there. Of course she did. I feel like obviously we both would have said something like that, but after watching it, we both very much agreed that Ben Affleck was a perfect choice to play Batman. It
He's
brings
pretty
this
good.
other side to it. Obviously, this more mature, older side. Because obviously, every other version we've seen is usually like this young playboy, or to an extent, like maybe in the 30s to 40s at push.
Yeah,
But this is mostly like a much older sort of, not too old that it's like Dark Knight Returns where he can't climb a rope properly, but old enough that he's been doing this work for 20 odd years. I think it's 20 years. Alfred points out at one point, or more than 20 years. I can't remember. He did say 20. I don't know if he meant more or just exactly, but basically, this is the first time I've actually seen Batman who's been doing this job for a very fucking long time, and I really enjoyed Ben Affleck's performance as Batman.
it's like in the previous films of the Batman. Like their Batman felt more like Series One Arrow.
Yeah,
Still making mistakes, very young, still quite playboy, but has that element of darkness to it. Whereas obviously then it becomes like this one's more like the last series of Arrow with him in it, like a lot more age, withered down, suffered so much loss that another bit of loss just throws him over the edge. Obviously, kind of technically happens here. More like this Batman has been obviously lost a lot of people. 'Cause, I mean, they're basically like the whole point is Robin's already fucking dead in this.
yep,
So it's like he's lost his partners, lost his family. He's just been pushed down, grinded down. That you can definitely feel that in it. I mean, it even makes like what he does like understandable because he suffers so much loss and he feels like probably losing control of his life or anything like that, which most people would do when they've had so many deaths that probably wants to pin all that frustration on somebody and uses Superman because of what how he's reckless fighting. So, yeah, he did a really good job there.
Yeah, I 100% agree there. Because obviously,
Mm.
coming off Christian Bale, it's a fucking tough task. So obviously, Henry Cavill coming off fucking like all the other actors who played him, none of them have really lived up to Christopher Reeve back in the old
Yeah,
days. So it's not as if it's like too much of a task for him to come in and go, I'm Superman. Whereas Batman, he's literally got to come off the back of Christian Bale, who had the exact same sort of task as Henry Cavill, where the fact that he's coming off the back of fucking Val Kilmer and fucking George Clooney, who
yeah.
were nowhere near Michael Keaton. So it's not. It was a tough task, and I feel like he did really well. Because I know, obviously, there's still some people who are not a fan of Ben Affleck's Batman, but I'm a big fan. Connor's one who's not, for example.
Yeah.
He does not like Ben Affleck as Batman, but I disagree. I think Ben Affleck's a cool Batman, and it's a bit dark in my background. But obviously, as seen, I'm a very big Batman, Ben Affleck Batman guy because I got a fucking statue from the movie and his Batarang.
I mean,
So
let's be honest. Like his task was pretty much the same task that Jared Leto had, coming off the back of like the Dark Knight, like Joker. I
yeah, Heath
mean,
Ledger,
Jesus Christ. He's like, yeah, literally that task was almost impossible, and he failed miserably.
and obviously that could be different in the extended, the actual proper fucking original cut. Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's not like it's Jared Leto. It's not like going to be that like groundbreaking. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's not going to be anywhere near the two we've got. It's like
Yeah, but at least
it's like that sibling that you know
yeah.
you don't like, but you have to like for him being there.
I mean, fucking Facebook guy did better job at being like a Joker like character than Joe Leto
And
did.
he wasn't even playing Joker.
Yeah, I mean, his performance was a joke, but still.
Yep. Yes, it was. But yeah, thumbs up Ben Affleck. Good job.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to our next Batman character, which is obviously Alfred. Another sort of similar situation here because we had the great Michael Caine. Jeremy Irons is the one who plays him this time, who we last saw when we did the Assassin's Creed podcast last year. And
Yeah.
I spent ages trying to figure out what I didn't say he was in. So I don't think I said this. The Borgias or whatever it is, that fucking religious TV show he was.
Yeah.
He was in there. And
He
again,
also killed Mufasa, so.
we said that one last year. It was fine. That's why I couldn't use it.
He killed Mufasa. I can't stress it enough. Alfred killed Mufasa.
But yeah, just like fucking Ben Affleck and Christian Bale, Irons got like my fucking Michael Caine. Because Michael Caine had 3 movies to prove why he was a great Alfred, and he fucking knocked it out of the park. But again, similar to Ben Affleck's Batman, I think Jeremy Irons came in and gave us a really good Alfred. I feel like he gave us a different kind of Alfred, obviously a bit, not young, but a younger-esque, because he's still fucking old. But he gave us this more, I want to say funner side at times, because he's a bit of a joker at times. No pun intended, because we keep mentioning
More
Joker.
sarcastic kind of.
Yeah. And obviously, he's the one trying to be the one that's drawing Batman back to Earth. Like, oh, Superman's not our enemy. Don't fucking start a war that we don't need. But alas, he doesn't listen. Vengeance in mind, Batman stuff. But
He's Batman.
yeah, I feel like Jeremy Irons. I feel like Jeremy Irons was a good choice for Alfred.
Definitely, I agree. Like, he's just amazing. Like, he can play a good villain. He can play a good butler. That's all you need to say about him, really.
So the only good thing about Justice League was Jeremy Irons back.
Yeah, I mean,
because he actually did good in that movie.
I mean, like the whole you mentioned, like it was a tough thing for him to deal with, but because of who how good he is, we all knew it probably wouldn't have been that hard. It's like if you were to get like Morgan Freeman, it's not like it'd be so like hard to like replace any of Morgan Freeman's characters because how unique he is. Whereas I think because of how good Jeremy Irons is and how good Michael Caine is, like they're like
Balancing
two
effects.
titans. The two titans, basically. It's like you can't.
Teen Titans, different movie.
Yeah, Teen Titans. they can't beat each other, but they can still like stand each other's place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
None outshines the both. Both of them don't outshine each other, but they more like complement each other in a way. Like they both do different sides to the Alfred, but they're both still good sides.
Yeah, I think they both showed two different sides to Alfred. Obviously, Michael Caine showed the more sympathetic at times to the fact that the one scene literally when Bruce is dead, he starts crying, sympathetic. Whereas obviously, you say Irons shows the more sarcastic. You really have to actually do that. I know I'm supporting you and whatnot, but I think this isn't the right path you should choose. Choose this path instead.
They both definitely feel like father figures.
Yeah.
But who aren't trying to overstep,
They're
but
balance,
sometimes think they need to.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree. So we'll move on to our goddamn it villain. Obviously we have Lex Luthor as the main bad guy of this movie. He's played by Jesse Eisenberg, who was in Zombieland. Hayden keeps saying the social network because he was in that.
Fucking Lex Luthor. Yeah. The bald, very intimidating, serious guy. The very opposing character. Okay, we'll get Mark Zuckerberg with a wig on.
Can we just speed through him? Can we just say one word, just sum him up?
Shit.
Obviously the last character I'm going to mention is the new hero to the movie, which is Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, played by Gal Gadot, whose first movie role was Fast and Furious back in 2009. And
she fucking overshadows everyone.
Yeah. When that was literally the one scene, she just comes in, just blocks everything with a fucking a bracelets, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm here, and we're like, okay, time to simp. But yeah, I feel like she gives us this different kind of Wonder Woman that we're used to sort of seeing, because as I said when watching it, a lot of the old incarnations of Wonder Woman were a lot more butcher women, because Amazons. But this obviously version is a lot more less butch.
More realistic, really.
Yeah, she fits more into this sort of universe. And as you say, when she comes in, she just overshadows everything. Because, like, yep, she's cool. Got badass music, badass. She fights like hell. There you go. Great. Can't wait for the Wonder Woman movie.
Batman for the entire film is just simping over, really. Sees her in Pie. I'm going to fucking follow her. Oh, there she is. There she is. Oh, she's over there. I don't know who the fuck she is, but I'm looking at pictures on the internet of her.
But yeah. She's good. She's very good in this.
Definitely.
Very good. Perfect choice. Okay, we'll move away from the casting characters and onto the story. So obviously the start of the story is basically the aftermath of the Zod attack at the end of the last film. The middle is basically Batman basically trying to find a way to defeat Superman, and obviously Superman didn't obviously all these fucking judge, jury, and whatnot. Basically during the cast law and order for a while. And then the end is basically the Batman versus Superman fight, and then Trinity versus Doomsday. So obviously how the story flows, it works fine. It works fine how it goes. Obviously, as you say, some of the Superman stuff is a bit meh, but as an overall story, it's acceptable. It has its moments and it has its basically has its ups and downs, like any sort of movie tends to.
There's things that I would take out, but apart from that, the good stuff that they actually did, like, were really good. It's just the bad stuff. We're just like, meh. Why?
Yeah, I do agree there massively.
Mm.
So that's a quick sum up of the story. There's not too much to say because obviously a lot of stuff we'll cover anyway when we're talking to a lot of the action sequences because they sort of flow into the story anyway. So we'll just move on. Obviously cinematography, and again similar to Man of Steel, Snyder has his vision of cinematography, and it looks nice. It looks really good. The nightmare sequences look really cool. The actual fight between Batman vs Superman looks really well, obviously in cinematic term. The opening looks really nice because obviously we get to see it from a different point of view. As I said, the intro, the murders, that's really nice to look at. I think it's really decent cinematography. It's really good again.
I mean, especially when during the fights and the scenes, it's quite dark during the fight scenes. And when they use kryptonite in it, the green sort of just it probably covers the screen and stuff. It's like fucking hell. It did look really good, and it feels like you physically see Superman getting weaker, and it's beautiful. The scene.
And obviously the Wonder Woman intro when she comes into it, that's really well. That looks really fucking good.
fucking like the heat like bouncing off the shield and stuff. It's like slowly fading away. And the music.
We'll get to that in a minute. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. It's literally the next category, so hold those horses.
Pain.
But yeah, as we stated last week with the Snyder's films, even when they're a bit down, the cinematography is always on par. The cinematography I've always used ends up overshadowing the rest of the movie. Sucker Punch, cinematography is great. Movie, not so great. But you get my drift here. So Man of Steel had a great cinematography, and he brings that again into this. He brings us this. Obviously, he makes it a bit more darker. The sort of it's obviously the first film and it's dark cinematography at times, but it makes sense for the fact Batman's here. So it makes sense it being a bit more dark and grittier, and I feel like they captured the fact that Batman's here. It's dark and gritty. I'm Batman. So yeah, good cinematography.
Definitely, like even the Batcave.
Yeah,
like within there, it looks good. Like cause it's dark, but there are some like light moments to it. Like chef's kiss.
I like a lot of the. I like the stuff. Some of the, even the scenes like when he's just in his house, when he's just waking up, and that they look quite nicely well shot.
Although I still think his house is basically the Avengers compound but stolen.
Well, he's Batman. He probably did just outbid Tony Stark for it.
That's what I feel like.
But I mean, even that one, obviously it's a mixture of CGI as well. But I mean, it still looks nice to look at in both points of views. When Flash appears, that's obviously nicely shot.
The blue lights.
Yeah. Obviously, that's obviously a mixture of cinematography and special effects, but it still looks nice to look at. And then even the basic things later on when you get to see all the other characters' appearance, because obviously I didn't state obviously the characters, but obviously we get to see Jason Momoa's Aquaman, Ray Fisher's Cyborg, and obviously we get to see Ezra Miller's Flash as well through that obviously sequence when Wonder Woman's clicking on all the video footage. Obviously, all those are pretty much shown. Still, you can still see the computer screen in most of them, pretty much, and it's a lot different than just obviously just zooming on the video and just having the video on screen. It's a lot nicer seeing it, literally seeing it from her point of view of watching these on a computer screen. She can still see the outline on the screen. You can still see the outline on the screen. It looks nice. It's the basic of things, but it still looks nice.
Looks nice, yeah, I love it. I agree. It was a nice little detail.
Yeah, nice detail.
If I like kept that photo detail and other stuff.
Instead, they run to the capture the Wonder Woman looking at his computer screen.
Yeah. So would you, wouldn't you?
Yeah, fair enough. We'll move on then to score. And I've spent the last week obviously preparing for this review by listening to the actual score over and over again. And it just gets better and better each time I listen to it. As I said, it captures that sort of angel and demon side of it, which I was pointed out is sort of like an overtone of this movie. And I just love each piece of music. Each has their perks. And Wonder Woman's, for example, great piece of music. Hans Zimmer and I think it's Junkie XL who also worked on it with him. They both knocked it out of the park as usual.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more of like there's some that I like completely just forget while watching it, whereas like her one, obviously, it stands out the most that it's sort of become iconic in a way. Like it's when you hear it, like that's for the Wonder Woman film, or that's Wonder Woman. You know what I mean? It feels like her, whereas some of the ones just feel like generic soundtrack music.
I wouldn't say generic.
Like not all of them, but there are some that I just like goes over. Like it's gone. Like that we like pay attention to.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm more of a Beautiful Lies kind of guy. The intro song is just beautiful.
Yeah,
it captures the sadness and sorrow within Batman. But yeah, I really enjoyed the score. I feel like just like Man of Steel, it's a solid score, which is one of the things that the DC extended universe, what it was called back then, but now it's DC Worlds because I keep changing the fucking name in 5 seconds. It's one thing it always had. It always had a great soundtrack to each movie because they always picked the right composers, like Hans Zimmer. Great words.
Okay.
Forgetting. Good score. Move on.
Yeah, because by the time we fucking finish this, we'll be longer than the fucking film.
Special effects. I think they're decent again. Just like Man of Steel, I think there's some good special effects. Though obviously a lot of people hate the design of Doomsday. I didn't mind it. I feel like it obviously starts off as this sort of troll, but it earns the spikes and that. So for the context of the story, it makes sense, his design choice. And I feel like when he does have the spikes, he looks really good.
It's like a Pokemon. He's still evolving.
Yeah, basically. And obviously there's a lot of other sort of sequences where use special effects. And again, a lot of things with especially the first two movies, they had good special effects. We won't talk about the next two, just yet, or three technically. But I mean, again, I feel like they did a good job of making this movie look legit. That's the word I'm after here.
Yeah, totally.
I can't really think of anything that looked dicey off the top of my noggin. No, can't think of anything.
Not really. No. I mean, there was one moment of Doomsday. We turned and the CGI looked a little bit rough. Like it wasn't as polished as the other scenes were. But it was like it goes by so fast, you barely notice it. So
I didn't notice
it's not
it.
bad.
Is that the point you're going to
make? But
well, to be fair, for that sequence, I was watching you fall asleep.
Like I think I'm more.
I'm not a perv.
My attention picked up more when Wonder Woman came up. Like, when it was Bill got to that scene, I woke up a bit more.
And then fell back.
I was more awake like after that, because I think it was after Wonder Woman appeared. But yeah, like most of like what we saw was good CGI. Just there were some elements like barely noticeable, but were there still.
Okay then. Action sequences. There's a few here. So obviously, the movie kicks off after the obviously intro of the deaths. We get to see the Zod and Superman fight, but from the ground perspective. Similar to obviously when we saw obviously from Perry's perspective in the last one. Obviously this time it's from Bruce Wayne's perspective as he's trying to make his way all the way to Wayne Tower. Obviously driving through, watching all the destruction crash around him. So there's not really much fighting going on in it. It's literally just meant to be, obviously it's just like a really fast-paced Bruce Wayne just driving as quick as he can. Yeah, like a disaster. That's exactly. It's literally like a disaster film rather than obviously a superhero film for the fact that it's obviously just him driving as quick as he can. But
it was less Batman, more 2012.
Yeah, basically. Obviously it made sense for the context of the movie, for the fact that this is what set him off. He's already tipped anyway because of everything else that's happened in his life, but this moment, watching that entire building of people just get vaporized and crumble to pieces and whatnot, that's what fully set him off. Especially obviously with that little girl, when he's like, oh, where's your parents? She's like, up there. He's like, I'm going to kill you, Superman. Dun dun!
Right after I start training this, the girl's been Batgirl.
It's not Batgirl!
Oh, sorry, Robin.
It's not Robin! It's nothing. She's just a character that's in the movie that's only in one scene.
It's just because, like, the whole point of Batman is if I find a kid that's lost their parents, you lost your parents? Me too, kid. You come with me.
No, you're basically making Batman sound like a paedophile. Batman's a child catcher.
No, he just gets kids and trains them to punch clowns.
He still sounds like a child catcher.
Well, it is Batman.
Is he going to start singing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang as he's driving away?
Wait. You want Joker and start singing his face? The paedophile character.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Moving on. But obviously, from an action point of view, it's not obviously it's sort of big action moment. I say it's more disaster movie enough. I think I still enjoyed it. I still feel like it was a decent sort of way to kick off this movie and give Batman his motivation to go, I'm going to fight Superman. I'm going to fight him. I'm not going to sit back anymore. Even though, because obviously it though he's obviously been fighting crime for the past how long, he's sort of had. He wasn't as like sort of a major sort of all out as he was until that happened. Obviously, from that point, then he was like, okay, 100% of the time now, I'm Batman, pretty much. Because he was sort of like in a 50-50 state, I think. From it, he was more of a businessman more than anything by this point.
Yeah.
He wasn't like fully retired, but he was like half in, half out. And when this happened, he was like, okay, I'm back in now. That's it. I'm busting up Superman unless he says my mom's name, and then I'm stopping.
Let's be honest, Batman and Superman are both tipping over the mom.
Yep.
Just saying.
But yeah, good scene. And nice from someone else's perspective for that fight.
Definitely, yeah.
The next sequence, I will say, is a great sequence, and that is the nightmare sequence. That entire shot, when I first saw it in cinema, I was like, wait, what the hell's going on here? And then Batman just starts essentially shooting people. I'm like, am I watching Batman murder people? A whole sequence is just really well shot and looked really nice. I like the look of it they went for with Batman with that sort of a trench coat and the goggles and whatnot. It looked really cool.
I mean, how I would say this is, it was shot amazing. It looked amazing. It was done beautifully. However, what was the fucking point of it?
To show you that there's a nightmare timeline. The fact that what happens when Doomsday comes, which is obviously what the whole thing is with the next Justice League, because this it carries on. Well, that's the whole. Literally, the whole point of it is just a nightmare at the time. It's just him literally just falling asleep and the nightmare happening. And obviously, then we get the Flash moment where he's like, "Oh, Lois is the key. You need to find us." Basically, this is literally the sequence is here just to say, "Make the Justice League. Go on, find us all."
Yeah, I know, but like, it's also a little bit. It's a bit confusing. It felt like it was added afterwards in a way.
I don't know. This has always been how Snyder was sort of going with it. So
I mean, he probably already planned to have that in anyways. But I mean, like the way, like it felt like
out of nowhere,
out of the blue. Yeah,
I felt like he's just trying to find any point that Bruce falls asleep.
Basically, it was very confusing at the first. I thought I switched the remote and went to a different film or something. Because it'd be like you're sitting there, you're watching the first Iron Man. He falls asleep and he dreams of Thanos, like stabbing him with a knife or him snapping. You're like, what?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I dig what you're saying. It comes out of nowhere, but from a personal point of view, I really enjoyed it. I like seeing the parademons for the first time. I like the fact we got to see Bad Guy Superman, because I very much enjoyed Bad Guy Superman. And the fact that I enjoyed the Injustice games, where you literally see Bad Guy Superman. So I would enjoy them going that path at some point, maybe showing this evil version, like as a proper full film where they're battling him. So it was nice to see that. And obviously, as I say, we got this cool version of Batman to see, and also we got the future Flash. We literally got to see the first sort of vision of this movie star Flash.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a lot different in the actual movies later on, but the future version looks quite cool. I like the helmet.
I mean, the Flash fit I'd keep in. It was just the nightmare scene. Like, it would have been more fitting if they used that more of if they showed him falling asleep. Maybe it would be more less out of the blue. Maybe.
Divided opinion then. Let's just put it at that and move on. Obviously, the next sort of action sequence is the Batmobile chase. I think it was really cool. Obviously, it starts with him with the sniper rifle and he's putting the dart to the back of the fucking truck, and then he just comes out of nowhere. His Batmobile starts playing for everyone, and I like this for the fact that we get to see this side of Batman. He's like, I don't give a shit. But the fact that he just slams every vehicle and blows everything up. He just drives straight for a building. Don't give a shit. Straight for the building. Ramp up. I'm going to destroy everything as much as I can.
Batman doesn't kill. He just breaks all your legs and arms, makes you
that is literally the plot. One of the purposes of the Dark Knight Returns animated film. He literally just puts loads of people in hospital. He literally breaks this guy's legs and everything. The cop's like, "Oh, he's gonna kill him." He's like, "He's not gonna die. He'll walk fine soon. He's young. He'll be fine." And he knows where to do the damage. But technically speaking, this version of Batman, he kind of does kill people. He does. I'll point out the bit where I'm about in a bit.
Yeah, there's loads of times when he
Yeah.
obviously fucking kills them. Like,
But I
every
mean-
single Batman film, there's a scene like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably one of my. Actually, I'll probably say it's my favorite Batmobile chase sequence. Because we had a few obviously in the Dark Knight movies, but they were just basically him just chasing after people, and it wasn't obviously as action sort of focused though. Obviously, because obviously he had all the. He didn't. How do I put this? He just used the tank just to plow into people, whereas this version at times he was using like fucking like. In a sense, fucking like tow hooks and whatnot, just to fucking hook people up and just send them crashing. Basically, he was using them as weapons essentially. And even obviously with the fucking rocket launch, he was just dodging out the way. Basically, anything they threw at him, he was just using it as ways just for them to just kill themselves, essentially. Like a tanker, when they drive out in front of it, aiming to block him, and he just fucking just drives us to the side, and they just crash into it and blow up. Like that, essentially. I just think it's a really cool scene.
I was remembering that Martha scene. It's killing me. Martha.
We're not on Martha, we're on the Batman chase. What's your thoughts?
I don't know, but that's the problem. I'm trying to keep figure stuff, but I just keep going to the Martha.
Well, we're going to be on that bit in a minute, so, you know.
I don't want to be.
Just say you liked or hated the Batmobile chase, we move on.
I liked or hated the Batman film. Move on.
Different words to what I said, but okay. If we move on to the actual fight, then Batman vs Superman, and no, obviously the ending is very controversial, as you have said many times already. The one word. I feel like the actual fight itself was really cool. I feel like obviously, as you say, Superman stupidly punched him instantly, which set off the whole fight after Batman tried to attack him. But I mean, when they're actually going like toe to toe, I feel like it's really a really cool fight. Like, they're just battering the crap out of each other. Literally, I like the bit when Batman like puts the zip line around his fucking leg and just like spins him around the fucking room, smashing through every fucking pillar there is. That was cool. The bathroom fight when he's just using the fucking different parts of the bathroom to smash each other in. That was cool. I think in general the fucking whole fight obviously was shot cool, had a decent sort of score of the background. The lighting was really like adding to it.
I agree. But
we have the infamous part.
Yeah.
When Batman has the upper advantage and Superman asks him to save Martha.
No.
And he's like gets really confused, like, wait, what? I'm sorry, and he has the flashbacks to the start of the movie, making the start actually seem more useful into the purpose of the movie. And then obviously Lois comes in, stops him, he's like, oh yes, his mum's name. He's like, what? Oh shit, we got the same name, Mom. Oh, I can't kill you now.
You become best friends.
And though it's controversial, at times I like controversy, and over time it just doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you.
And that's why you say you support Hitler. You shouldn't say this stuff, Tom.
That's you, not me.
You are a disgusting person, Tom. You should get help.
That's you, not me.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's you. God, he doesn't listen, does he? Jesus. God.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't bother me as much anymore. Didn't it? And again, for fuck's sake. I meant Martha. I don't think it really bothered me at any point. I've never been fussed with the fact that he says Martha is the way to stop the fight. It's not been anything that's pissed me off as it just pisses you off. And yeah. We'll move on because I know you don't like it. It pisses you off. We'll actually move on to a post scene to that, which is the Whereas fight with Batman, which is actually really good.
Yes, it's better than
it kicks off with obviously the Batwing or whatever he calls it in this universe. I'm assuming it still calls it the Batwing, blowing up the shit out of fucking cars and whatnot. But then when he actually goes into the building and starts beating the heavy living crap out of everyone. And the one thing I was saying when he's definitely killed this guy. The one when he's punching that guy on the floor over and over again. He's clearly fucking killed that guy. He's mushing his brains into the ground. You just don't see it. And that one guy gets stabbed because of Batman. I feel like he's definitely killed some people in here. But I mean, the whole overall context of seeing this sequence is really cool. And it's pure Batman delight.
I mean, yeah, that's honest. That's a good example of saying the Batman scenes are better than the Superman ones. Because all the Batman fight scenes just Fucking amazing.
Exactly.
Even like when he's sitting there relaxing, talking to Scar, fucking amazing.
And obviously, in the context of obviously the movie, then obviously that guy blows up because he tries to vaporize Batman with the fire. But that's an example of Batman killing someone for the fact that he's broken his fucking gas tank. So as soon as the fire hits it, boom, boom goes dynamite. Example of Batman killing someone because he
He's not dead. He's just so burnt he can't breathe. Okay.
pretty certain he's dead. But obviously, you get that one moment where he's like, "Oh, I'm a friend of your son's. You know, I only just met your son, but I'm his best friend right now because he's got the same mom's name." And he's obviously fucking Martha's like, "Oh yeah, I clearly guessed. It's the cape that gives it away because people with capes hang out all the time together. It's how it works. Maybe logic." But
I mean, yeah, I've seen all the like DC animated cartoons. All the Kate ones hang out with each other. The ones that don't, they all swear at each other. And like, I'm not going to hang out with you. I mean, that's the reason why Superboy doesn't wear a cape. He doesn't want to hang around with all the caped ones. They're weird. You've seen Robin?
yes.
No.
But yeah, good fight, Batman. Good fight. A nice little end solo fight for you to show off your new skills. Or old skills, technically. So obviously, the next fight moving on is the start of the Doomsday fight with Superman, where obviously it's just basically them just battering the shit out of each other for a short while before obviously getting sent into space and getting nuked. But obviously Superman gets the worst off it because he's just like a zombie, while Doomsday's just like, oh yeah, I'm becoming more Doomsday now. But I mean, the context of the fight, obviously, it's showcasing obviously these two their like power levels, the fact that they're quite even at times. And obviously, it also shows that Doomsday's got this other ability where he takes enough damage, he essentially evolves. He's basically getting to like level 20 and he's finally evolving. And then he's got got to get to level 30 or 40, depending on what species, and he's evolving again. But, it's a decent little fight to kick off this, essentially trio of Doomsday fights. It shows his skills in the fight. That's all that matters here. Obviously,
Like, a bit like Thor and Hulk fighting, like visually. This big hulking, massive guy with spikes and stuff hitting a guy with tights, a cape.
essentially, yeah. It's basically like that.
It's still good.
Yeah. And obviously that sort of flows into the next sort of arc of the fight, which is obviously Batman getting involved. And obviously he does it. He doesn't obviously like physically fight him with his fist, but he uses his weapons on his vehicles to shoot, showing that obviously he clearly can't go toe to toe like Superman can. It shows this. Though Batman's cool, he's a lot weaker, and he has to use his tech to fight, which is a nice little like showing. Because obviously we've just seen Batman kick the shit out of all these bad guys, but now we're seeing the fact that he's not actually that strong, so he's got to actually stay in his vehicle for this fight. And even like when he actually gets to the fight later on, you don't see him. He obviously never goes toe to toe. He always does distance fighting. It shows that other side to Batman, essentially.
It'd be like Kai and Black Widow go up against Thanos. Like, what can we fucking do against this guy?
Yeah,
shoot with guns. No,
basically, it's like that. But I still think it's a nice little scene of obviously just showing Batman flying around and shooting.
Yeah,
and Ben Affleck in the cockpit going, he's trying to like not crash.
It's basically that is the whole reason for why there is like always like some killable people. There's like random like minions for the bad guy. It's so all the human characters have something to do.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much. Or else they're like this. They're just here going, what the fuck do we do?
Yeah, and
should we just like play tic tac toe or something? I've got cards. Do that.
And obviously the third half of this fight is obviously Trinity versus Doomsday. So Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
So obviously Wonder Woman comes in, badass as always, and then Batman gets at his cockpit. Superman arrives, bashes his fucking Doomsday. They all look at each other. They're like, "Oh, is she with you?" And he's like, "Oh, I thought she was with you because fucking Batman's a racist."
This isn't the first time that like Wonder Woman has been like in between Superman and Batman.
Freeway. But yeah, obviously, obviously they're like, "Oh yeah, we need the kryptonite spear." Lois is already getting there; she's drowning and whatnot. in obviously this bit of fight now, obviously we see Wonder Woman using a sword skills, using her punching skills, and a shield to obviously help fight Doomsday. Superman's obviously using his heat laser beams, heat rays, whatever fucking, you know what I mean. Is that really cool scene when he sort of flies and the sort of blasts, doesn't he? And then Doomsday just does the exact same back. And then sort of obviously Doomsday just overpowers him instantly. Obviously Wonder Woman. Actually, I think that's a bit when he goes to attack again, but then he hears Lois and has to go save her. So obviously we see a bit more Batman just getting have to fly a zip line around because he's getting attacked by Doomsday. He's like, yep, I'm out of here. Bye. Basically, he's like he's like that kid that wants to fight, but he doesn't want to fight. He's like, yep, bye. Stay as far away as I can. I'm over here. Come and get me. Okay, I'm over here now. Like that sort of thing. And obviously, then they bring the spear into it.
All you can fucking do is that.
Yeah, and obviously he brings the spear into it, and Superman has to He obviously tries to fly it. Doomsday's doing it really badly. It's kryptonite. What the heck? Wonder Woman's lasso of truth for fucking Doomsday, and Batman's shooting the last kryptonite fucking gas canister from a distance. And eventually, obviously, Superman stabs him. And you have to think about this way. If it wasn't for Wonder Woman lobbing Doomsday's arm off, he wouldn't have had a weapon to kill Superman. So Wonder Woman killed Superman. She lobbed his arm off, he grew the spike, and he stabbed him. So Wonder Woman killed Superman, not Doomsday.
But there wouldn't be a Doomsday if it wasn't for Mark Zuckerberg. Think of that.
Damn you, Zuckerberg! Looking at my advertisement stuff again.
How did you know I wanted that from Wish? No, I do know I was watching One Direction. I don't want to buy Harry Styles from Wish for $20.
But yeah, as an overall free arc to this little fight here, I think it was a really decent fight, showing off all their skills. Obviously, we only get a brief Wonder Woman, but again, it's enough to show her skills for obviously her film coming up. But I feel like we've got enough of each of them showing off what they can do against this sort of thing. And obviously, we got the ending of Superman dying, which obviously no one would have probably expected heading into it. Like, oh shit, they just killed Superman off. Wow. So I'll give them credit there. It was a good fight.
He's very surprising, man. His death. Like, when you watch these like films, I think people got so used to like Marvel, all the main characters didn't really like start dying until Infinity War, really. So it's like no one's really like haven't seen it before. It's very new.
Yeah, especially being like a major sort of character, like 2 movies in. Fuck, they just killed Superman.
It would literally just be like if in like the first ever Avengers film, you see like Cap just get decapitated.
Yeah, basically like that.
It'd be a big.
Give them credit for fucking going for it. Obviously, it's playing off for the fact in just like the Resurrection parts coming out, but for when this came out, I give them credit for doing what they did. So yeah, I feel like they got some good action sequences in this film. I feel like there's a bit more in this than there was in Man of Steel, because obviously they got the Batman side to it.
Yeah.
So good fights. Hayden, you know what time it is, don't you? Hayden's editing hour, or 5 minutes. We're running over.
I thought it was 6:58.
No.
What's got time wrong?
No, it's editing. Do your editing.
Okay. Editing was absolutely piss poor. Like every now and then, near like the last half of the film, it just kept going black, and then it'll come back again, like with no explanation. It'll keep going back again, and then I've got falling asleep.
I was like, wait, I don't remember that. I think your eyes are falling asleep. Stop sleeping on the job.
Alright. There weren't any standout moments. The only thing I can think of is just
Wonder Woman.
There are some scenes, like bad ways, like some scenes that didn't seem like they fit. But there were some good moments, like we mentioned, with the woman. That was fucking the way as he's getting, I can't remember, was it Batman getting blasted?
Yeah, he was in the Batmobile. The Batwing, he couldn't get out. He's like, oh shit.
trapped, like, oh no, seatbelts, and then she just comes down like
Batman's kryptonite
uh,
seatbelts.
it's very good. So
Basically, it's a film that has its moments and has its
yeah,
ups and downs, like the film in general, basically.
yeah, but like the physical editing though, there's no like actual proper standouts, but like the effect wise and the way it was like shot was done good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, next up is the pacing of the movie, and it obviously flows as non-movies should. Really, it doesn't. Obviously, it doesn't really like jump timeline wise, apart from obviously the start of it when it's jumping from the it.
I'd say the nightmares and the dream
Obviously, that
kind of messed up
I
the pace.
mean, other than that, I mean, apart from the time jump at the start to the modern time, a lot of it just flows normal time. Like it just goes from them finding their fucking kryptonite in the floor to obviously Superman's death. It just flows like sort of normal time. Obviously, they got that cut out in the middle where obviously they said nightmare sequence happens. But if you cut that out, a lot of the rest of it just flows normally. It doesn't really rush at
Linear.
times because it doesn't really have to rush for the fact that it's 3 hours long.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's very linear, but like those moments, I think, messed up the pace. Really, that's probably the reason why I don't like them. Is because like not only like, they come out of nowhere, but they do mess up the pace. So yeah,
Okay. Okay. Moving on. Production design, and obviously we both stated the Batcave looks amazing.
yeah,
They definitely stole the Bruce Wayne definitely outbidded Iron Man for the Avengers compound. It still looks cool. Desert scenes look really cool. Obviously, there's probably a mixture there of practical and digital there. Trying to think of some others. Basically, I think as usual with these films, the production design's usually, pardon me, usually good. I don't really. There's not really any sort of bad production design. I don't think.
yeah. I mean, the props are pretty good. The setting good, and outfit.
Outfits are very good, especially with Batman's
Yeah, Batman's
armor.
one.
Love his armor.
The armor and like
His
the
normal
normal
suit.
thing as well. It's really good. They don't fit. They don't feel like impractical on the other two. I mean, like it doesn't feel like he caught him in his fucking head,
Yeah.
but like, it seems like a normal, realistic Batman. Well done.
Yeah. Well done.
Clap, clap.
Script. This feels like a normal script to me, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I can't.
The dialogue's just the normal amount of dialogue.
It felt like the script was like really good, but some of the Superman ones they flew out and no one could find them, so they had to ad lib.
As you already said, he's the dicey part of the movie. It's the Superman half.
Yeah,
I
basically.
mean, the normal sort of dialogue, it's your average amount of dialogue. There's nothing really too bad about it. There's nothing really great about it. That sums it up for me.
I think a lot of like Scar scenes pretty good.
Yeah,
Dialogue.
Jeremy Irons is good. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to find out like he had them himself. Really?
Friends coming faster again.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Ending time. So obviously the ending is basically Batman wanting to bring the metahumans together to obviously deal with the war that's incoming, thanks to what Luthor said about the fact that God's dead, so the bell's been rung and whatnot. And obviously Superman's not fully dead with that little tease the ground hovering up. And obviously this is all just because the nightmare timeline. Batman's like, yeah, I need a team right now. I watched 2 Avengers movies before this, and we definitely need a team. Yeah, so let's get a team. Obviously, I
Don't you
got.
think we should have like set all these characters first before getting the team? No, we're getting the team now. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's fine. For the context of maybe the actual Justice League movie that's coming out, maybe it's going to even be. It works, but obviously from the one we got, it's just obviously it's very rushed for the fact it's only like 5 movies in. But obviously, it wouldn't be It'd be very stupid of us not to mention the fact that we get to see Steppenwolf in the extended version. We get to see a little teaser of him with the fact that that's literally what he meant by the war is coming, because Steppenwolf literally is bringing the war along with Apocalypse to Earth, which then would lead to the Nightmare timeline if they don't stop it, so that was cool. But, you know, it's a decent ending. I won't say it's dreadful. It's decent. I don't know how you could really end it other than mourning the fact that Superman's dead. It makes sense.
Maybe show Martin Zuckerberg getting shot in the head.
When he had his head shaved, so it's you know, he's lost his beautiful locks, so it's fine. It's fine. It's not like he's gonna get a prison or anything. Oh wait. Damn you, Facebook! But yeah, it's, you know, you average sort of ending to a movie. I don't know how I'd like it to have ended, to be fair. I haven't really thought of that. It was like, okay, 3 hours are up. I'm off for a piss.
I mean, that is most people's favourite part of the film.
When you get to pee.
Credits. Alright, thank fuck, that's gone. Let's go down. Come on,
Okay.
we'll never come here again. Fucking waste of money.
Okay, we'll move away from the ending now, because, you know, mediocre. So, one new segment I've added is favourite moment of the movie. So, mine is the Way Murder opening. Just, I think it's very artsy-fartsy. It's really nice to look at. And Beautiful Liar on top of it. Magnificent. Magnificent.
I mean, my favourite part was when Professor Xavier popped up.
That's not Xavier, it's Lex Luthor.
It was amazing.
It was Lex Luthor. It's Facebook again. It's got you again. They're just going to offer you the X-Men complete box set for a reduced price of 20 quid.
I haven't got that advert. Thank you. I was back. But obviously, Pat Rampman.
Wonder Woman's a rival. Yeah. It's a very good moment. There is a few good moments, but I agree. That's like a really standout moment. It was very tough for me because there's a few moments I do like, but that song at the start just gets me every time. So we'll move on to the pinnacle moment of the movie, the rating. And I enjoy controversy at times, so I'm going to give some controversial stuff
I
here.
know you do casting your
So I'm going to give Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition specifically, not the base edition. That'd be like a 7.5, maybe 8 at push. But I do like some of the extra half-hour stuff that fill plot holes, which I just can't remember off the top of my head because it's been a while since I watched the first version. Because, you know, I watched the first version, then we got the 3-hour version. So I'm going to give Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition a controversial 9 out of 10.
Right. You are purposely rating this higher than you rated.
Yes, I am. It's time to meme me up.
Asshole. My rating is going to be a 7. There are some moments that make it a good film, but others that make it average. So 7 is how I'm going to. That's the highest I'll give it.
Fair enough. I was expecting you to go lower, actually, but fair enough.
Both points go to Wonder Woman and Janet Iron, just so you know.
Fair enough. So that gives Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition a Test Cave overall rating of 8 out of 10. So we'll quickly move on. We'll quickly move to over to the Chatter Cave MVP award, and we both straight up agreed it's got to be Batman. Ben Affleck's Batman. He's got to be. He's like he's like the best part of this movie, apart from when Wonder Woman does come in. It's Batman.
I've got it written down, Jesse Eisenberg.
No, it's written it wrong again.
I've always said off the award.
God damn it. Ben Affleck's great. We'll move on because we've already spoke so much about how much we fucking love how his performance of Batman. Okay, so the runner-up for the Chat Cave MVP award is, we both easily agree on this as well, Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot. She does great when she comes into it, overshadows everyone. But for the fact that we've got Batman for a good 2 hours or so, it just about tips it over. So, yeah. We'll move on then to the question of the day, and you know, I thought to myself, what could I write here? So, you know, I just thought the obvious thing, and that is, what other franchise would you like to see collide in a versus movie?
This is a tough one, really.
Dora vs. Diego.
My joke that would be my joke version, but you know my real version would be to have some kind of like Marvel and Ben 10 connection. That that'd be it. Come on, it's me.
It is, yeah, yes.
Yeah, I'd love it. Be good.
I feel like the fact that they're obviously in the sort of they got the same director. I feel like Justice League versus fucking Watchmen would be very interesting. So obviously it's two different kinds. Obviously,
yeah,
it'd be pretty much like It'd be basically Manhattan versus fucking Superman. It'd be fucking Night Owl versus Batman. Silver Spectre, I think her name is. Silk Spectre or whatever her fucking name is. Her versus Wonder Woman, assuming. And then Rorschach just taking out everyone else by going, "Hey, look at my mask. What do you see?"
Yeah.
And then Batman's like, "Wait, you look like my dad," because the one guy's the same in that movie. And he goes, "Oh, are you my dad?" Okay, guys, I'm changing team. I'm a Watchman now.
I mean, let's be honest. I can imagine that. They're basically the same characters.
Yeah.
What they could do, though, is write out Superman and Manhattan, like Civil War did with Hulk and Thor.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that would also... Because obviously then the big guns are gone, aren't they?
Right, yeah. Right.
Maybe even take Wonder Woman out for the fact that she's overpowered as well.
True.
Basically, maybe you have like the sort of the ones that basically use weapons or basically use fighting skills more than like superpowers.
Instead,
basically take it the Flash.
Vision.
Oh, good point. So, you take it the Flash because he's super speed.
So it's just going to be Batman versus.
No, you'd bring in like some other characters, obviously, because there is obviously like, stuff like Green Arrow and stuff like that. Obviously, you'd build it up to work right, so you introduce these characters into this universe, so it makes sense for the fight.
Yeah,
you get my drift. I think there's loads of other fucking
Batman, Green Arrow, Robin, and Batgirl versus the entirety of the Watchmen. While Aquaman sitting in the background to a fish, go like, "Yeah, I know that guy. Yeah. I punch him in the face. It's great."
But yeah, I feel like there's many other franchises that could do brawl out. There's a lot that'd be interesting, but I just randomly said Watchmen for the fact I looked right and I saw the Watchmen Blu-ray. Simple as.
Entirely just fighting. And Hat and Superman in the background doing rock paper scissors because they can't actually fight without killing the entire world.
Yes.
Like that's like anybody. Rock paper scissors.
Okay, let's end it then because we've gone way too over time. Join us next week as we discuss Suicide Squad Extended Cut. The one with like an extra 10 minutes.
Oh.
We've got James here, hopefully. So that's a nice little special guest there to kick us off. Until then, I've been your host, Ranking Thomas Hughes. And it's been Chat Cave Podcast. I'm Batman.